ability to come back more quickly. And I think Pakistan is, strangely, one of those countries that can come back very quickly. And let me just give you 2-3 reasons for that. One is, we used to talk about, export-led growth, the importance of exports, etc. Certainly that is there. But the countries that built their models, business models around export-led growth are now collapsing. I mean, Mexico, I keep on giving this example, Mexico has built its entire industrial base, for the American market. Well, the American market has tanked, has gone away. 30%, less buy. What the hell are the Mexicans going to do? Where are they going to sell? Why has the South Korean currency, collapsed? Vietnam, you name it. So, but until 2 months ago, that was the paradigm, that was the model that every country was, and it made sense for 40 or 50 years. But now there's a realization that your indigenous market is the only market you can rely on. You can't rely on exports because, like companies, countries also go under. It's never happened before. When I say go under, I'm not saying go bankrupt, but have a major inability to purchase. So, we have very little household leverage. We have a huge domestic market, and we need basic industries. We need basic infrastructure. We need roads. We need ports. We need, dams, basic industries. And I think the little capital that is available, because capital markets have also collapsed, the little capital that is available globally will now not be looking at the 51st shopping mall or the 110th luxury hotel. They'll be looking at basic infrastructure. And Pakistan has the need, it has the market, it has low household leverage, it has a relatively stable regulatory environment. I think we have opportunities. Now, I think what the government should really sit down, and I'm sure they're doing it, is to see how we can put all these pieces together and develop a plan to attract investment in a way very different to what was happening in the last 10-15 years. We have to develop a different model for attracting investment, but it can be done.
Okay, since we're running short of time, I think we'd like to take question and answers now. So.
Sorry. I have 2 questions, if I can indulge in that. One for Ali. I'd like to just understand, there's a liquidity crisis which is very different from crises that is being faced by banks globally. As you mentioned that, for example, what's actually happened? Where is the rupee gone? Have people taken out of the banks? If people have sent out foreign currency, of course the rupee has to stay back in Pakistan. So where has that disappeared? So that's one question, why it is causing, because it's a very simple one, but I'm struggling to understand what is the issue here. Second question is to Tawfiq, friend. Again, this is not digging the past, but trying to understand what really happened and possibly the learnings out of it. I was always under the impression, and we were told generally, that there was a fiscal responsibility law according to which the government could not borrow. And what we actually found, that the government actually borrowed from the state bank, and the consequences of what's happened. That could have been avoided if the fiscal responsibility law was really enforced. Then we would not have seen this kind of a knee-jerk reaction what has happened in terms of the fallout in inflation. Prices would have been raised much earlier on, or the government would have borrowed from the banking sector rather than the state bank. So 2 questions. I'm sorry I've labored it. Separately, that's for Tawfiq. But Ali, really the liquidity crisis, I'm struggling to understand, where is the rupee parked?
The rupee, I gave you a number a little while ago. I said that deposits in the banking system have actually reduced by about 230 billion over the last 3 or 4 months. Now it's very clear that a number of people have taken rupees out and have actually bought cash dollars in the grey market, and they've either, kept them in their, in their safes at home, if they have safes, or maybe they took, some money out. It's not very difficult to explain, because if the rupees were coming back into the system, the deposits wouldn't have decreased by 230, 240 billion. There's another very interesting phenomena, which most of you don't follow, but we do as banks, that before Eid, traditionally before Eid, a lot of withdrawals take place from banks, obviously, for reasons that you know. And generally about 90-95% of the money comes back, or 90% comes back 2 to 3 weeks after Eid. This year, only about 20% came back. 80% of the money stayed out. So, I hope that answers your question about the rupee. But let me put the exchange rate situation in a different context. Over the last 3 years, the difference, the interest rate differential between the rupee and the dollar, and of course we are linked with the dollar, over a 3-year period has been something like 27-28%. In other words, if you take a treasury bill, US treasury bill, and you take a Pakistan treasury bill, and you calculate the difference over a 3-year period, it's around, with accumulated interest, it's around 24-25%. And that is exactly the amount by which the rupee has gone down, roughly the amount by which the rupee has gone down. So this is not an unnatural devaluation. You can take the view that maybe the rupee was kept artificially overvalued, and had the rupee been allowed to come down, to maybe from 60 to 66, and from 66 to 72, 72 to 78 over a 3-year period, maybe there wouldn't have been a panic. Because, basic economics will tell you that exchange rates are based on interest rate differentials. And we, in spite of this huge differential in interest rate, kept the rupee at a rate which I think was not sustainable. So when people say the rupee has tanked, the rupee has not tanked. The rupee has, I think, come back to what is its realistic value. I think that's a good thing. It helps our exporters. It contains the tendency to import, and overall it will help in improving the balance of payments. Obviously, going forward, there are other positive things. The whole